Hey guys, welcome back to Uncut Gems with Slim. I'm so excited to share with you guys this video. You can already see by the thumbnail and the title, we are going through my camera collection. So I love these type of videos because it definitely helps, the creator that is, teaching themselves how to navigate in this industry. And I love videos like this because it helps give you an idea of what other creators use. So we don't gatekeep over here. So if you guys are interested in seeing my camera collection, please keep on watching. Alright guys, so the first camera that I want to share with you all happens to be the one that I'm actually filming on. I'll put a picture on the screen of the camera that I am currently using, and it is the Canon EOSR. So this camera is my most recent camera purchase, and I love it because the colors are seem so more vivid. They seem more vivid to me, and I feel like the quality is a lot more crisp. Now I'm gonna give you a few facts about each camera that I have so you guys can get a general idea of the camera specs and everything like that. But as far as my personal review, I think the colors are more vivid, the quality is more crisp, and it just gives a higher quality than the previous cameras that I've used. So one thing I love about this camera is that it has an HDMI port, it has mic ports, which means if I wanted to connect a viewfinder, if I wanted to connect an external mic, I have the opportunity to do so with this camera. You can also attach an external flash, so I love that for me because it does not, I repeat, it does not have a built-in flash. So if you want to use flash on this camera, you have to attach an external flash. Another thing I like about this camera, I just recently invested in some battery grips for my cameras. So this is an example of a battery grip, and if you guys are interested in a video about accessories I didn't know I needed for my camera, please let me know in the comment section below and I'll definitely do that. And it also works with the AC adapter. So again, I'm not going to go in detail about the accessories that the camera works with because if you guys want that video, I could do it in a whole separate video. So you can use an AC adapter with this camera, and it also has a flip to the side viewfinder. So if I look right here, I'm looking at me in the viewfinder because it's facing me off to the side of the camera. So some main specs about this camera that's different than the rest of the ones that I have, it is an RF mount. And what that basically means is that my normal camera lenses that I use on my previous Canon do not fit on this camera, and you have to get an adapter to utilize. I have a extensive lens collection, if I do say so myself, for one individual, and in order to use all the lenses that I've previously purchased on this camera, I had to purchase an adapter to go from the RF mount to the EF mount, or EF mount to RF mount, same thing. So you do have to get an adapter for your lenses if you do not already have RF lenses. And when I'm talking EF, RF, from my understanding, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, EF mounts work for your crop sensor camera. So it's a smaller sensor inside the camera. Your RF mounts are full sensors, so they're full frame, they're not cropped. So the adapter adjusts the cropped lens essentially to your full frame camera, so you don't have a black circle around the edges. Another thing, I mentioned that this is a RF mount camera, so if you have EF mount lenses, you'll need an adapter, and that also goes into the fact that this is a full frame camera. So again, the full frame camera just means that there's a wider frame to capture your content in the camera. So your lenses, there's a different set of lenses that are made specifically for full frame cameras. Another thing about this camera, it is a DSLR camera, but it's mirrorless. And what that means is like the shutter on the inside, again, y'all correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know all the technical terms, but the shutter inside the camera is a digital shutter. So one pro of having like a digital mirrorless DSLR is that you can see the changes. Like if you're taking photos or video of someone else, like you can see it in your little peephole, I guess you call it. Because if you look in there, normally if you're looking through a mirror DSLR camera that has a mirror, you'll be looking like straight through glass, kind of at your subject. You'll be looking through the glass, through the mirror, through the lens at your subject. And it's like, it's not a digital representation. Versus this camera, if I look in the little viewfinder peephole, it gives me a digital version, essentially was in my viewfinder but in the little peephole. So hopefully that made sense. I know it was a little bit around the way, but I'm trying to explain it as best I can. So yeah, so that is my most recent camera purchase. I love the Canon EOSR. I link it in the bottom of all of my videos for which camera I use, and it's also, I believe, on my Amazon shop, so I will definitely link it for you guys down below. I will also put the price on the screen because this is a, it's an investment style camera. This is not a camera that you just, willy-nilly pick up if you don't have intentions to use it. Okay, so this is definitely an investment. And when I bought this one, if I'm not mistaken, y'all, I'm pretty sure I bought this one from eBay and it came with like a cheaper adapter. I have since had to replace that adapter. But outside of that, eBay is actually a great place, in my experience, to purchase like, gently used equipment, especially if it's someone, like if I ever decide to sell any of my cameras on eBay, like those are the type of sellers you want to buy from on eBay. Those people who are like, if you message them and like, hey, why are you selling your camera? And they're like, oh, because I'm investing in a newer camera or better equipment and I just don't need this one anymore. Like those are the sellers on eBay that I buy from, because I know like if you're selling a piece of equipment to buy even more expensive equipment, you probably took care of that equipment. So I'm viewer discretion advised. Some people I know have had bad experience with eBay, but I have not had a bad experience with eBay so far as like buying some equipment from there. So yeah, so that is my main camera that I use now. So now bumping down to my first big girl camera, and that camera is the Canon 80D. So this camera right here was like my first big girl camera purchase on my own. If y'all watched Vlogmas a couple years ago, y'all might have seen when I purchased this from Best Buy and I was so excited about it. This is again the Canon 80D, and this was my first big investment camera. I got the creator bundle where it came with, I believe, 1 or 2 lenses, and it came with a bunch of stuff, so I just put what it came with on the screen. But so yes, so this again was my first big investment camera. It is high quality. I think it's a great camera. The only reason why I upgraded to the EOSR is because my friend Kiera took some videos of me and on her EOSR, and the colors were so vivid without even doing anything in post, and I was like, oh my gosh, like she put me on. I was like, I gotta have it. So that's why I upgraded to this camera, and I will say it is definitely an upgrade, but this is also a great first big big investment kind of camera. If you're really trying to take YouTube serious and you do more so like sit down videos, like this is a great option for you. It does have HDMI and mic ports on here, so you can attach external mics on here. You can attach a viewfinder through the HDMI port. You can also attach an external flash. The great thing about this camera is that it has a built-in flash as well. So if you need a camera with a flash and you don't want to invest in like an external flash, or you don't want to add more bulkiness to your camera, this would be the option for you. You can also attach an external battery grip to it. I just recently purchased one for this. You can also attach like a viewfinder, like I said, and then it does work with the AC adapter, so I love that for me. Now this camera I can kind of show you because I'm not filming on it. There is a mirror in here. Like that is the mirror. Okay, I put the battery grip on just so I can have power to show you guys the shutter, but if you look, that thing that is flipping is the shutter, and like you can kind of see that's the mirror right there. So when I look through this little peephole viewfinder that I was talking about, that is what like mirrors allow you to see through the lens, and it's not digital, it is a mirrored like DSLR camera. So this camera does have a cropped sensor, so it fits those EF mount lenses. EF mount lenses are for the most part cheaper than your RF mount lenses because the RF mounts are newer on the market than the EF mounts. This one also has a like viewfinder that pops out to the side. This is a similar setup to the EOSR that I'm filming on, but this, you know, the viewfinder, it can move around in all different kinds of ways, whether you're shooting yourself, whether you're shooting other people. Like, it has all the range of motion, so I love that in this camera. You can pair a remote to it. It does have Bluetooth Wi-Fi, so you can send your photos directly from your camera to your phone through the Canon Connect app. You can also do that with the EOSR. So yeah, so this is the Canon 80D. This is also still my baby, and you know, I like it. What the EOSR is just an upgrade, so sometimes I use both. If you watch the podcast this season, the very last 2 episodes, I actually used both of these bodies for the individual side shots of myself and my guest. So I'm not saying like which camera gives you like, you know, a depth of field where it's blurry in the back and all those things, because that actually all really more so depends on the lens that you use. So again, if you guys are interested in my lens collection, y'all comment down below. So the next camera that is like was a big investment for me is the Sony ZV-1. So the Sony ZV-1 is a great vlog camera. One thing about this camera, it does not have like an interchangeable lens. So the lens that comes on this camera is, you know, the lens that you are working with, okay? And so it looks like that when it's open. You can zoom in pretty good. You can zoom in 70 millimeters and you can zoom out 24. So it's 24 to 70 fixed lens. Not fixed, but you know, you can't interchange it. And one thing, this has I'm gonna turn it off. So this has a side viewfinder as well. So if you're vlogging, like you can see yourself off to the side. Another thing I like about this camera is that you actually can attach an HDMI to it, but you can also attach a mic to it. So you might look at this fuzzy thing and you're like, girl, what is this? Well, let me tell you, this is a wind jammer. So if you're like outside and the wind is blowing, this helps prevent the mic from picking up like the that. And so this can come off, and there's a part right here that allows you to like attach an external mic, and you can plug it in on this side. You probably could almost attach an external flash if I'm not mistaken. This does not have a built-in flash, so that's something I wanted to make sure I mention. So there's no built-in flash, but you can attach an external flash. It comes like, this is the mic right here, which the mic on this camera in general is really good. And it comes with this wind jammer. So it's nice that it automatically comes with a wind jammer to help for those people who are vlogging outside. One of the features that I love about this camera is as I'm recording video, I can hit the photo button and it'll snap a photo of me while still recording. And for me, that's very helpful, especially when vlogging, because sometimes for your thumbnail, you want it to be like a in the action thumbnail instead of like a posed, you know, after the fact photo. And being able to capture a picture while recording video on the Sony ZV-1 is so cool to me. Like, I think that's so dope and it's so effective. One other thing I wanted to mention about this camera is you can purchase this like tripod for it. So you can attach your camera to this basically tripod, but it's a Bluetooth as well. So it pulls out and it has the tripod legs. You can adjust the angle of the camera, you know, so you can sit it down. Great for vlogging. And another thing I really like about it, you can also turn it side to side. Another thing I like about it is that these buttons right here function as a Bluetooth remote. So when you're vlogging, if you want to stop recording, you don't have to mess with anything up here or mess up your shot. You can just literally hit record, it'll start recording, hit record, it'll stop recording. You can hit the photo button if you want to snap that photo while you're recording, like I told you guys. And then it also has the wide and like zoom button for you to zoom in and zoom out. And you can lock the button, so like if you're just vlogging and you might accidentally press buttons, it won't actually engage because you can lock the buttons on here. So Sony ZV-1, I'm not gonna hold you, this is my favorite camera to vlog with. Now this is interesting because it bops into my next camera. The next camera that I own is the Canon G7X Mark III. These two cameras are very similar. You do not need both. So the difference is the Canon G7X has a flip up viewfinder, so it doesn't flip outwards like the Sony ZV-1. It flips upward. The pro in it flipping upward is that if you're looking at the viewfinder, your video doesn't really look like you're not looking at the camera because it's right above the lens. Anytime you record, if you didn't know, you should be looking in the lens because that's how it looks like we're giving eye contact. If I'm looking over here at what I'm filming, then I'm not technically looking at you. So having the pro of having the viewfinder up above is that you will look more so like you're looking at the camera even if you're looking at the viewfinder. Now the con with that is you cannot attach an external mic to the top. You cannot attach a wind jammer to the top. You cannot add really well, let me not say that. I'm not going to say you cannot add an attachment, because if you got a rig for this, if they sell them, there is a port for you to attach a mic. And there is like a HDMI port on the other side. So I'm not gonna say you can't attach a mic to it, but if you're vlogging with this up, like, you would have to have like a significant setup to like attach a mic off to the side and like get a small rig for this camera. The great news is this camera has a built-in flash. So if it's like nighttime or whatever and you, boom, you got a flash, babe, and you don't have to bring an external flash to, you know, get the look. Again, this does not have, and you're not able to change out the lenses on this camera either, so it's just this lens right here. I definitely think the zoom on the Sony ZV-1 is a little bit wider. I don't have a battery in this right now, so I can't tell you exactly how close and far it zooms in, but this camera, you can connect via Wi-Fi and send stuff to your phone directly from the camera. I believe you could do the same thing with the Sony ZV-1, and you can also, there's a like selfie stick version similar to this one that you can get for the Canon G7X Mark III, and you can put this, this goes in that, and this remote works with this camera. I did previously have the G7X Mark II, and that's the camera that mysteriously disappeared when I went to LA, and I bought the stick to go with it with the remote, but the G7X Mark II, if I'm not mistaken, cannot connect like Bluetooth to a remote. So you have to have the G7X Mark III or later, I think. Again, if any of the information I'm saying is incorrect, feel free to comment down below. I'm just speaking to the cameras that I have. So yeah, the G7X Mark III, I do like this camera. There's pros and cons to both of them, so it's really your preference for vlogging, like which one you would choose. Again, like I said, I feel like the Sony ZV-1 has a little bit more, you can swoosh and swipe with a little more. You could do a lot more things with that camera as far as attachments and stuff like that. But I do like the fact that this has a built-in flash, and also the quality is fairly good, because I did use this camera for the wide shot on the podcast this season, for some of the later episodes. So this camera, honestly, it's really just your preference between the Sony ZV-1 and the Canon G7X. The next camera that I use sometimes, which if you aren't at a place where you can invest in the cameras that I mentioned so far, you can invest in your cell phone. So this is my cell phone. Currently, I have the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and this one has the 3 cameras on the back, front camera, and I will say the back camera is higher quality, but the pro of using your phone is you can now record in 4K 60 frames per second, if I'm not mistaken. And it's something that you probably already have. Like 9 times out of 10, if you're creating content, you probably own a phone. And again, 9 times out of 10, if you're creating content and on a phone, you probably have an iPhone. So utilize your iPhone. Like, I know I've done it recently in my Get Ready With Me's, where I'm showing like my outfit. I just put it on cinematic mode and film on here. Or like if my camera battery dies but I need to finish a video, I'll just hop on my phone and film it, and it looks great. The reminder I have for you, if you use your phone for filming, is to always clean your lens. You don't want it, dirty from like, your hair or your makeup from putting your, ear to your phone. Like, always clean that camera lens before you start filming. But this is definitely one of my favorite cameras for on the go, like literally Instagram stories, all of that. Like, don't sleep. This camera is good quality. Last but not least is a camera that I do not own anymore. So it's not really my camera collection, but it's one that I would love to recommend to you guys. I actually just gifted it. If you watch the podcast, this is the vlog camera that I gifted to Lachey Price. And that was the Sony A5100. So I had the 5100, and that's like an older version. They do have newer ones now, but that was my like first camera before I got the Canon ADD, and my parents helped me purchase that to continue my YouTube career. So the Canon A5100, it does allow you to switch out the camera lenses. That's one pro about the A series Sonys, is you can interchange out those lenses, and that is helpful for people like, for the most part, if you're getting into videography and stuff like that, and you might be using a gimbal, like your Sonys are going to be your smaller build cameras that are easier to use on a gimbal. They're lighter weight, and they're great in low lighting as well. So if you're interested in like a Sony where you can change out the lenses, or say if you're a Sony girl, I'm more so a Canon girl, but if you're a Sony girl, like you can always, or guy, you can always try out the like A7 or the A9. The A9 is a bad boy. It has a bigger battery, so it has kind of longer battery life, but I use those at church and they work very well as well. So I hope I didn't keep y'all too long, but I wanted to share with you guys the pros, cons, my thoughts of all the cameras that I have owned and my camera collection. So if you guys are interested in more videos like this, more tech videos, please comment down below. I love y'all so very much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.